Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
I guess the upstate team got beat today. Is that correct? He got hurt again. Oh, was it? Okay. Well, that game now looks like we're in better shape than we were 2 weeks ago, right? But anything can happen, as we all know. We're getting ready for South Alabama.
As the coordinator, you try to cover every scenario possible. I'm preparing for him not to play. That's from my standpoint. If he plays, he plays. But who knows?
Everybody's got their minds on Deshaun Watson, the Clemson quarterback sensation who goes down with an injury in the first quarter at Georgia Tech. His status for the rest of the regular season definitely up in the air, and it's on everybody's mind as we really look past this weekend. Can we look past this weekend?
Yes.
No. We can look past this weekend.
Absolutely.
All right, Pro, you'll be the only person in the state to not look past this weekend.
Let's break down that
Clemson
Clemson-Georgia State game all week long.
Now, we're going to take the next 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. Truly, it's all about the Gamecocks and the Tigers matchup. And it's coming at us quickly, and the question will be Deshaun Watson. That's the key figure. He changes everything in the ball game. He changes everything for Clemson. I know your quarterback is central to your success, and at Clemson, based on what we saw against Georgia Tech, they have no chance without Deshaun Watson. I mean, you can get Nick Schuessler ready, or you can try and trot Cole Stout back out there, but they're playing with one arm tied behind their back. And even if he's able to play, how effective is he going to be? K-Mac, you've been doing some research today on quarterbacks trying to come back from sprained ligaments in the knee and a bruised knee, and sometimes it's just not a very wise move.
Yeah, again, everybody's different. Every injury is different. And we don't know the severity of the sprain. We do know there's a bone bruise on there. And I posted a story to sportstalksc.com talking about the Robert Griffin III. He had that in 2012. His first injury against the Ravens was a LCL, and he came back too soon. And you saw what happened. That was just a week, and we don't know if he had a bone bruise or not. Then you have Connor Shaw, who had a sprained knee ligaments last year against Tennessee. And now I don't know if it was more severe. Did he have a bone bruise? He played the next week, didn't start, but he was actually, it wasn't the knee that kept him out. He was physically sick. He had some kind of bug where he was throwing up. So everybody is different. They're not going to play him this week. Obviously, they don't have to. The big question is, will he play against South Carolina? If so, what level will he play? And if you're Clemson, do you go, Deshaun Watson at 60% is probably better than anything else we can roll out there right now?
I did my own research. And for the average person, a sprained ligament takes 4 weeks to recover. 4 weeks. Deshaun Watson, tremendous athlete, leader of my team. I'm Dabo Swinney. He doesn't play the rest of the season. I got at least 2 more years of him. And if he messes up that knee,
I got 4 words for you to shoot that down. 6 in a row. You don't think he's thinking about that? We'll be back in a moment. All right, Sports Talk from downtown Columbia Main Street. Good to have you with us tonight. Hope you had a great weekend, a great sports weekend with the college football. Well, not great if you're a Tiger fan. It was a rough day for you in Atlanta, but generally speaking, it was a great sports weekend with all the great college games and the great NFL games yesterday. Packers. And the race yesterday was very good. Love the format. Hope it does not change. So I think NASCAR has hit on something good there. And the start of college basketball season over the weekend, too. We got all that on our sports plate. Now, we want to take as many calls as we can get to here in the early moments of the program, 800-956-7266. Beginning to talk about USC Clemson and getting your picks on that game. Of course, it's kind of hard to predict until you know what Deshaun Watson's situation is going to be. I'll grant you that. Still, we must talk about it, and we must move forward towards that game. 800-956-7266. What kind of situation is Clemson in as you see it now with the quarterback situation the way that it is? Can the Tigers win with Cole Stout at quarterback against South Carolina? Can they win with Nick Schuessler at quarterback? He was 4 for 4 when he went in late in the third quarter and played the rest of the way.
I get the impression, listening to Dabo Swinney talk yesterday and listening to Chad Morris talk today, that he's not a factor right now, that they really believe that Cole Stout, if they can get the Cole Stout that they had going into the Georgia game back, that's their best chance to win.
That was the Cole Stout coming out of camp.
Yeah. And I was surprised to hear Dabo say, because I put a lot of this on his shoulder injury, but they said it's between the ears.
Well, he's hurting. He is hurting. First of all, not to defend Cole Stout because he was awful Saturday. He had a quarterback rating of -12.
That's hard to
something.
do. Hard to get
well,
there.
when you complete as many passes to the other side as to your side, 3 and 3, that's not good. But he was still dealing with the bad shoulder. He did have a shot again before the game. He did not practice with the first team at all during the week. They were getting Watson going. He probably wasn't expecting to play, and then the injury happens and he's put out there. His first play was a quarter draw, and he gets hammered on that play. And then second or third play, he tries the toss back screen pass that was ill-advised, and he locked on to the play. He was not going to get away from it. He just lofted it over there, and it was picked off in return for the touchdown. And the other picks, pretty much the same thing, locking onto a receiver. Georgia Tech player saying afterwards they kind of knew what was coming. They watched his eyes and knew where the ball was going. So he has had good moments this year, though. And I think if he is a quarterback, I think you're going to see Clemson really try and get the running game going. And I think as far as their passing game goes, they'll rely heavily on the screens. They'll rely heavily on their speed. The jet sweep or Tavis Scott, the quick outs to the wide receivers, hoping they can get a block on those Gamecock defensive backs and break a big play and occasionally take a shot down the field. Now, that will give South Carolina a chance to get some sacks because Cole Stout is not all that mobile, and he's back there statue-like, and you can get to him. So, but they can win. Clemson can win with the combination of a decent Cole Stout, no turnovers, and their defense. They can win.
They have. I mean, they have until Georgia Tech. They certainly had done that. So, yeah, there's no doubt that they can do that. Against Georgia State, they can roll you out there and beat Georgia State. And against South Carolina,
I kind of take that as when you use me as an example, I would prefer you use a higher level opponent than Georgia State.
Well, I mean,
at least give me Wake Forest. So they could roll me out against Wake Forest.
I don't know. I think Wake Forest is a little bit better than Georgia State. Clemson is a 40-point favorite this weekend. Vegas probably isn't going to play, and Clemson's still favored.
Did a line come out on USC South Alabama?
I haven't seen what. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah, but I will say this: that first play, Cole floated it out there, but that was excellent diagnostician by the corner to come 15 yards away from where the play was. I see what's coming. Here we go. And he picked it off. I'm of the ilk that when you look at Cole Stout, I think probably, even though it hasn't been there all the time, I think he looks good throwing the deep ball, quite frankly. Those screens and those crossing patterns, that's when he throws the interception.
22 points.
You beat me to it, K-Man.
Yep. It doesn't take me long to find a spread.
No kickoff time yet for USC Clemson, 6-day window. So I guess we'll know either after the games on Saturday or sometime Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, not that anybody needs to make plans around the holidays or when they need to get.
But when did they start thinking about the paying customer when it comes to
probably why
doing
stadiums are a quarter empty every game?
All right. And by the way, I couldn't believe it. I know it was chilly in Atlanta, but it was a sunshiny, beautiful day. They announced 49,000, but there were a lot of empty seats.
Same in the Swamp.
And this is a game between two teams. You know, Clemson was, 7-2 going in. Georgia Tech was 8-2. No, 8-2 going in. Yeah. But their fans did not turn out in big numbers. Tiger fans were there in pretty good numbers. Travel team, but not Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech fighting for a division title.
Absolutely.
If they can get Duke to slip up one more time, and they slipped up the other day. Just as I was bragging on Duke, then they let me down over the weekend.
All right, let's get to your calls. 800-956-7266. Your thoughts about the developments over the weekend and also looking ahead to USC Clemson. How do you see it playing out? Do you think Deshaun Watson will start at quarterback for Clemson in that game? That is our poll question on our website, sportstalksc.com. Do you think Deshaun Watson will be Clemson's starter at quarterback by the time the big game rolls around? Tony in Charleston, you're up first tonight here on Sports Talk. How are you?
Fine, Corn Blues. How are you doing?
We're doing great. Good to have you with us.
Corn, things aren't all bad in Tiger Town. They did the ACC championship this weekend, didn't they?
Soccer.
Got a soccer championship. They did.
It was amazing. I don't know if you saw the highlights of that match, but I think it was with 3 seconds left in regulation. They tied the score 1-up and went on to beat Louisville in overtime. So
I'm sorry, I don't watch college soccer.
It's hard to get involved in soccer on a football Sunday.
This time of year, I have to limit my sports menu to college and pro football, NASCAR, and basketball. That's enough on my plate.
I was back and forth between that soccer and NASCAR, believe me. And the last minute of the soccer match was all you needed to see. Hey, Corn, I think if Dabo screwed up at all with his quarterback, it was a couple of weeks ago when he mentioned that his injured quarterback was going to be the starter as soon as he got the doctor's okay. He had a fifth-year senior starting, and he went 4-0. And while he was the starting quarterback, he told the whole world that the injured freshman was going to be his starter as soon as he got the okay. I think he screwed up. He should have worked him in gradually. And you know, that's all water under the bridge. But if he had worked him in gradually, then Cole would have been his starter, and Deshaun could have been the hero. He could have come in if Cole didn't do any good, if he didn't win that 5th game. You know what I mean? Well, now the kid has got hurt again, and now he's got to go back to that 5th-year senior, and now he's referring to him as his starter again. And that's where I think he messed up 4 weeks ago. He should have stuck with Cole until the young man, Deshaun, was able to work himself back into the starting role. Think about it.
It's his position. A lot of coaches have this position. You don't lose your job because of injury.
Yes.
And if you're the starter and you're the best guy, when you get healthy, you go right back to that position.
And if you were struggling, let's say Watson was struggling and then Stout came in there, but that wasn't the case. Watson was tearing it up, was injured. Stout they were winning, but it wasn't because of Stout. It was almost in spite of him. And we saw in just that brief time that Deshaun Watson was in the game against Georgia Tech, he was lighting it up. He was running the ball. Clemson's offense was moving. They were about to probably go up 10-0 until that knee injury. That's why he put him there. That's their best quarterback.
We don't see it too often, but it's almost as if when he shows up on the field and not even take a snap, a whole burst goes through the team when he's on the field.
Well, the respect level and the fear level from the opposing defense goes up when he's on the field. Be right back. It is Sports Talk here on a Monday night. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornblut, the Professor Tom Hayes, K-Mac Kevin McCrary. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Back to your calls. Just a moment. Couple of things I want to pass along. First of all, big trade today for the Braves, of course, as they trade Freddie Freeman to not Freddie Freeman, Jason
Hayward.
You just
Jason
made
Hayward.
a great drive off the road into a ditch.
I'm sorry. I was looking for my notes. Jason Hayward, they traded him to the Cardinals for Shelby Miller, starting pitcher, and pitcher Tyrell Jenkins, in exchange for Jason Hayward and reliever Jordan Walden. Also, there is some conversation, some reports out there that Justin Upton could soon be dealt to the Seattle Mariners by the Braves. That has been reported by USA Today. So the Braves are certainly not sitting back. They're making a bunch of moves. NCAA soccer field announced today Clemson will host a second-round match on November 23rd. They're the number 7 national seed. They have a first-round bye. They face the winner of the Florida Gulf Coast and Coastal Carolina game. The game at Clemson is scheduled for 7 o'clock, and Clemson is coming off its 14th ACC title, as you heard the previous caller elaborate on that a little bit. Wofford today announced that it's going to build a new basketball facility. The Jerry Richardson Indoor Stadium will house a new basketball, volleyball arena, locker rooms, and other facilities, and it'll seat 3,400 for basketball.
Now I feel old because I lived in Spartanburg when they built the new, now old arena.
Ben Johnson Arena, which will be used for intramurals. All right, back to your phone calls we go here on Sports Talk, and it's Jim in Lexington. Hi, Jim. Welcome in. How you doing?
Hey, Corn. As your favorite Florida fan, I do not blame Senator Corn for me not making a bowl game. But I just personally want to call in and tell you thank you. You and I spoke off air a while back, and you gave me a name to help me with a little golf tournament. And things didn't pan away, but a friend of mine got us something else a little bit cheaper. I just wanted to personally tell you on air, I thank you for your time and your help. Sure. Anytime we can help you out. I'm sorry that my lead didn't work out for you, I guess, but you got something else going, huh? No, a law enforcement officer that was a member of Mid Carolina Country Club actually got it completely for free, and the country club was even donated a little bit of money to a catering. Just we're doing a little golf tournament for the house and bringing out the parents and stuff just for a day of just really goofing off and having a good time. But I just wanted to personally tell you thank you. Oh, no problem. Appreciate your phone call. All right, 800-956-70 is our number. Also, over the weekend, the Braves, going back to the Braves, they traded Tommy La Stella to the Chicago Cubs for reliever Arodys Vizcaíno,
who they had before, and traded to the Cubs. So it's a reach, getting a reliever back. 95 miles an hour fastball. Jason Hayward, by the way, back of that trade, he will be a free agent in 1 year. So St. Louis is gambling that they can keep him this year and re-sign him.
All right, more of your calls coming up after this break here on Sports Talk. I know some of you Clemson folks need to lighten up a little bit because Steve Spurrier made a comment after Saturday's win at Florida. He brought it up himself. He asked the media during his post-game news conference about the Clemson score, I believe is how it started. You were there. How did it start out?
Well, he asked, the intro to it in context is he was talking about how proud he was of how the defense played and how maybe they can ride that into some momentum over the next couple of games. And then he said that team in the upstate, he never calls them Clemson anymore. That's just what he does. And he said, they lost today, right? Well, anybody know the score? And that somebody said, Watson was hurt. And he said, the quarterback got hurt. What was the final score? And somebody told him 28-6. And he was like, oh, well, maybe we're looking better in that one than we were a few weeks ago. We have the clip.
Yeah.
Let's play it. Here's the clip.
Yeah, you can listen for yourself if you haven't heard it. And the reason we bring it up, it's been a conversation on our site, on Twitter, on our Twitter site, which is at SportsTalk SC. If you haven't signed up to be part of our Twitter following family, you want to do that immediately. And so there was a lot of conversation, and some were pointing out or insinuating that Spurrier was either maybe making light or feeling better about it because of the injury. And here is what Spurrier said. Here is how it all came about in the locker room in the post-game interview after the Florida game.
People have been running all over us, and to stop them the way we did today was really impressive, really impressive. Maybe that'll give us some confidence and finish this thing up strongly. I guess the upstate team got beat today. Is that correct? What was that score? Georgia Tech game.
They lost their quarterback.
He got hurt again. What was was it final? How? Oh, was it? Okay. Well, that game now looks like we're in better shape than we were 2 weeks ago, right? But anything can happen, as we all know. We're getting ready for South Alabama and hopefully get bowl eligible next week. That would be a fun day for us if we can do it.
All right, so you listen to that. I don't know what's in Spurrier's head. I mean, was he saying what he said because Clemson simply got beat and his team had just won in a unexpected manner, turned something around in a way that they won in the way that they had been losing, and so it changed his entire approach to things and his outlook about the last two games? Or was he thinking after hearing that Watson got hurt that that's an advantage for South Carolina? Or was he thinking after hearing Watson, somebody in there said he had torn his ACL? That was reported by the Clemson, the Tiger Insider during the game. They cited two sources, and they're a very respectable group, and they are usually right on with their Clemson information.
I don't know that he got that part of it though, because he just glossed over. I mean, he
did just sort of go right past that.
People have to remember, South Carolina and Clemson were playing simultaneously, and as fans, we can keep up. Like you're keeping up with the South Carolina game. I'm keeping up with the Clemson game while I'm covering them, and we know what's happening. He doesn't know. I mean, he maybe knew that they lost or had lost and heard that. He really genuinely was asking what the score was. He didn't know. He just heard that they lost, so he was asking the score. Then the quarterback, but he didn't know if it was a sprained finger, a broken leg, nothing. He didn't. I don't think he grasped that it could potentially be a serious injury. Steve Spurrier is a lot of things, and if you want to pick on him and say, hey, the guy's petulant at times, he's got thin skin, what he did after the Tennessee game, the way he handled things, all that's fair game. But Steve Spurrier is not a craven person where he would go and take pleasure in the fact that a guy got hurt. I mean, that's just never in his history has he been that guy. He's not this evil person that's like, oh, Deshaun Watson got hurt. Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, he would not do that. And that was not his intent there. And nobody in that room, I'll tell you, nobody in that room thought that was his intent. Now, some people were following along on Twitter where the context isn't there, and people saw that and said, oh. And at that time, people thought that Watson had torn his ACL, so they thought it was really bad. But the bottom line is, people that were there covering Clemson didn't know how bad Watson was hurt. So how would Steve Spurrier know when he's coaching a team in overtime?
All right, back to your calls, 800-956-7266. Let's go to Tiger Bryan over in Lancaster and check his temperature tonight. Tiger Bryan, how are you?
I'm doing good. How y'all guys doing?
Man, we're doing great. Just looking forward to what's going to happen a week from Saturday. I just hope the two teams don't do anything stupid this coming weekend and really foul it up. Let's assume that they win these games with ease and then move forward.
Well, I just hope we get some offensive line play this week. I mean, that's our issue. You know, Cole Stout's got a bad bum shoulder. He's got to have surgery after this season. I mean, if Chad Kelly hadn't been stupid, we'd be in the driver's seat right now, you know.
How's that? How's this? What's the stupid part?
Well, getting thrown off the team, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, you know, the Steve Spurrier thing, he's there to get anyway. I mean, you got to take him with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? He loves to bash Dabo every time he can. All right. But when that defense starts smacking y'all in the mouth, you'll know when you're at Death Valley come November. You come on down there, boy. We're going to tear y'all's ass up.
Well, you know, and thanks for the call. You cannot overlook the fact that Clemson's defense is still Clemson's defense of this year. It is still nasty, gnarly, and
one of the
salty.
best out there.
I mean, Georgia Tech got its yards. They did hold Georgia Tech underneath their average by over 100 yards running. Now, I mean, Georgia Tech's going to get their yards. I'll tell you one thing that they did a poor job of was Georgia Tech's passing game. They basically did the same throw repeatedly, and that was that back shoulder comeback pass. And Clemson's cornerbacks did not play those passes very well at all. And I would think that Dylan Thompson will see that. South Carolina's receivers will see that with Pharaoh Cooper, and I would say Shaq Rowland. I'm not sure he could catch a cold right now.
Well, I mean, and Shaq Rowland's hanging on by a thread to be on that team from some rumblings that they almost sent him back to Lexington with a one-way ticket. And he came out there, dropped the pass, fumbled the ball, completely whiffed on a block, gave zero effort. That almost got Brandon Wilds,
cut in half.
Yeah, he almost lost his legs.
Yeah.
Didn't return to the game after that. That's not good for a guy with all that talent. He needs to put it together because he's on a very, very short leash right now, I would say.
Yeah, the interesting thing is I think they'll probably be ready for anything Dylan Thompson does, including the back shoulder. But the key point is it is what makes Georgia Tech so dangerous now. And we really didn't see them open up their offense because they need to, because they got 2 pick sixes. Otherwise, Georgia Tech is dangerous because when that quarterback goes back there, he goes back with authority, and he's the first quarterback in a good while at Georgia Tech that you hold your breath when they fake it into the line and he goes back to pass because he can zip it.
Yeah, he's a much better quarterback. That was something that Vad Lee could not do when he was there, and that's why this guy is an upgrade. All right, we continue on the phone lines here. We go to John in Greenville. Hi, John. Welcome to Sports Talk.
How y'all doing tonight?
Doing fine.
What I'd like to say to the Gamecock Nation, if y'all don't remember, I can recall when the great Marcus Lattimore got injured, Dabo gave him nothing but respect. Spurrier does not give anybody respect but his players.
Well, here's the difference, though. I mean, everybody knew Marcus Lattimore had a grotesque, awful knee injury. You could see his knee facing the wrong direction on the field. It was all over the television. Nobody understood. Steve Spurrier certainly did not understand the severity of the injury, which, as it turns out, wasn't a major knee injury. I think last night before the MRI came out, you had Sean Elliott saying, prayers go out there. I don't think if Spurrier would have known 100% that he had lost his season to a knee injury, that he wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I think his reaction,
that's not how he is.
I think his words were based on the fact that his team had won and Clemson had lost, and knowing how that changes everything.
Yeah, he was feeling good.
I don't think it had to do with the injury. As you heard his comments, he just sort of glossed over that.
And wanted the score. And when he got the score, 28-6, well, and he's thinking, we won, they lost. Maybe that game's a little different than it was 2 weeks ago when he had lost 4 straight SEC games, 3 of which they blew double-digit leads in the fourth quarter. He was riding high.
All right, a lot to come here on Sports Talk. More calls in a moment. David Shelton will join us to review the Friday night of high school football a little bit later. A lot of big upsets this past Friday night. How about
David Bennett
beating Chuck Reedy? How about Greer losing for the first time, going down to Belton Honeypath? A lot of surprises this past Friday night. David will join us a little bit later on. We'll do recruiting in a little bit as well, and we'll hear some post-game from USC Clemson and also from some Spurrier from his Sunday conference call. And don't forget, tomorrow is a Talking Tuesday presented by South Carolina soybeans farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork by soy. Busy day tomorrow. We've got, of course, Steve Spurrier, his press conference moving up to 11 o'clock tomorrow morning because of USC basketball at noon tomorrow, USC and Baylor. Keep in mind, if you're going to that game, parking is going to be a mess. A lot of the regular parking lots are not going to be available because it's a school day. Same thing with the garages. So if you're going to the game, make sure you leave yourself extra time to take care of the parking issue. And, of course, Dabo Swinney will have his press conference tomorrow as well.
Now, you're going to be live at the Wofford tip, right? At 7
I thought about that. I really did,
it.
but then I talked myself out of it. Yeah, Wofford plays at 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. Put on your PJs and go to that. And the early arrivals can go ahead and start digging the trench for that new building that they announced today.
That's
Get a jump on it. All right, back to the phone calls we go. Mike in Columbia, hello. How are you? Welcome into Sports Talk.
Good evening, guys. I love this show after work. Love you three guys and what you guys do. Thanks for taking my call. Got three things on my mind right quick. Clemson fans, please comment. The way I took the Spurrier comment, Spurrier was ripping his own defense. He said, oh, wow, the quarterback's hurt. Oh, maybe we got a shot now. I mean, they haven't stopped anybody all year. So that's the way I took it. Not that he was celebrating. I was thinking that he was taking a shot at his own team. Secondly, I've never seen Dabo and Chad Morris. Sometimes I think they have too many good players there. Now, this Watson kid's got stitches in his fingers. I have never seen so many design runs for an injured quarterback in a game like what I saw in the Georgia Tech game. Just totally stupid to run him so many times when you know the guy's already injured. I know they said, the announcer said at the beginning of the game, well, they want to see him get hit a few times and see how he's going to react. Well, no, if your quarterback's injured, you don't call that many design run when a kid has stitches in his finger. And my last thought is this. If Oregon is ahead, if Florida State is not number one, Alabama number two, and if Oregon is ahead of either one of those teams, guys, this whole playoff committee thing is a freaking joke, okay? Alabama and Florida State are the two best teams in the country right now.
I thought this was going to solve all our problems when it comes to the postseason.
Nobody. What are you talking about?
I thought we weren't going to have the controversy.
Nobody
that the
said
BCS
that.
Created.
I said four. Four is better than two.
We're going to have people
you're making up stuff now, but that's okay.
No, you did say this was going to solve all our problems.
Those words never came out of my mouth.
Let me quote you.
Well, you're misquoting me.
Circa April 2012, a playoff will solve all our problems.
No, I never said that. And
Did you not say that?
I've been preaching about a playoff.
Man, get the tape. I know it's on tape.
No, it's not. But do you not agree 4 is better than 2? That's what I said. But you can make it up and say what you want.
I think 8 is enough.
I believe that 4 scoops of ice cream are better than 2.
There you go. And so are 4 teams in the postseason
not if you're on a diet.
instead of 2.
No, I will say
I didn't say the committee was going to get it right.
The committee is doing things, at least when you hear scuttlebutt, strange things like Oregon. Yeah, they lost to Rich Rod in Arizona at home. And then here comes the obligatory, but the left tackle was out. That's the quarterback's blind spot. I mean, Oregon's offense, you plug a tackle in and let's go. I just think they want a pack.
I don't think Florida State's the number one team in the country.
Well, they're undefeated, though. They're finding a way to win.
I think,
and you know what? The regular season still matters, too. Go figure.
They took. I tell you what. Now
it's always mattered.
Florida State took Miami's.
If you have a playoff, the regular season won't matter.
Well, it's not going to matter when we get to the point where 2-loss teams, maybe even a 3-loss team, gets into the postseason.
Well, see, this is what I can't understand. I don't think there is a major dominant team in college football anyway. Yeah, a lot of it is on emotion because you can't explain to me how Georgia let Florida just run right through them in Jacksonville like a sieve, yet they stuffed Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina that let Kentucky and anybody else just run right through them out of sieve. Suddenly they discovered they can hit somebody in the swamp. I mean, it is the strangest season I have ever seen.
Parity. Any given Saturday.
Is that parody or parody?
Both.
By the way, Clemson's playing basketball tonight. We're so caught up in the football. Clemson and Winthrop going to tip it off a little bit after 7 o'clock.
That'd be a good one.
We'll come back to more of your calls here on Sports Talk. Got a couple of recruiting notes for you here on the Sports Talk. Of course we do. Does this day end in Y? Then we've got recruiting for you. And our recruiting report brought to you by South Carolina's Electric Cooperatives, sponsors of the upcoming 2014 Touchstone Energy Bowl. And that's coming up December 13th in Myrtle Beach. Nice to be there. First of all, football-wise, a couple of players visiting USC on Saturday coming. Linebacker Daniel Fennell, Loganville, Georgia. Receiver Darius Slayton, Norcross, Georgia. Both have confirmed the plans for their trips. Fennell says his will be unofficial. Slayton's will be official. Fennell talked with Gamecock recruiter Kirk Botkin a couple of days ago about the visit. His dad and two of his friends will join him. This will be his first game at USC. He's also talking to Georgia Tech, Missouri, Duke, Wisconsin, and Michigan State. He plans to set up his other official visits from that group. He'll take an official to USC in January. As for Slayton, he took an official to Tennessee over the weekend. He really liked it there. And he's also taken an official to Georgia, and USC will be his final official. He did not say how long it will take him to make his decision after he visits this weekend. No favor into that visit. Sophomore defensive back Marco Wilson from Plantation, Florida, has been offered by USC. Defensive lineman Albert Huggins from Orangeburg-Wilkinson made his official to Georgia over the weekend. Like everything there, Georgia very much in play for him. USC commitment defensive end Arden Key took an unofficial visit to Georgia over the weekend. Clemson baseball coach Jack Leggett announced 10 signees from the early signing period. Infielder Grant Cox from Greenville, Right-handed pitchers, Brooks Crawford from Bishop, Georgia, Riley Gillum from Kennesaw, Georgia, Zach Goodman from Kennesaw, Georgia, infielder Jordan Green from Charlotte, left-hander Jake Higginbottom from Cumming, Georgia, right-hander Jackson Coer from Weddington, North Carolina, infielder Jalen Miller from Atlanta, catcher Cal Raleigh from Cullowhee, North Carolina, and infielder Cornelius Randolph from Griffin, Georgia. This class is ranked in the top 10 by Baseball America. All right, very quickly, let's squeeze in another call before the top of the hour. Jim, Rock Hill, you've got about 45 seconds, sir. Go ahead.
When did Cole Stout injure his shoulder?
Which game was
that
it?
would have been the NC State game, the very end of the NC State game, when he was in mop-up duty for Deshaun Watson is when he injured his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, and he's been dealing with that thing ever since that point, getting 1 or 2 shots prior to each of the ball games he has started. You know, again, if you're Clemson, you have to hope that Cole Stout, who'll be your starter probably this Saturday, goes out and plays with confidence and puts some nice numbers up on the board and then can carry that in to the next week if he has to start. We'll be right back. Top of the hour break.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
And we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from downtown Columbia Main Street. Sports Talk, your Main Street sports talk show of South Carolina. 800-956-7266. Chad Kelly has tweeted that he has another offer. He just doesn't say from whom. And some of his followers have asked who has offered him, and he has not said. I wonder who it is. I know Virginia Tech is one of his offers. But I have no clue who this other offer might be. I haven't seen it anywhere else. We'll do some checking, see if it pops up somewhere else. He has not put it on his Twitter feed. In the meantime, David Shelton coming up around the corner. Back to your phone calls, and it is Bear in York. Good win for York on Friday night, beating a much improved West Side team. Bear, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing tonight?
Man, we're doing great. Doing great.
Hey, real quick, I'm just throwing this out there, see what you guys think. My prediction, Muschamp is the next defensive coordinator at South Carolina. Gary Peterson is the next coach at Florida, and it's just going to cause just a domino effect as far as in the coaching circles. What do you guys think about that? Just want to throw that out there.
Gary Patterson?
Gary Patterson. Yeah.
From
TCU.
sorry.
Have heard that name. Of course, you're going to hear a lot of big-time names with that Florida job right now, and a lot of times the early names you hear are the ones that you never hear towards the end. Mm-hmm. So there'll be a lot of names floating out there. As far as Muschamp, I would not be shocked if Spurrier did not find a way to add him to the staff. Obviously, that means there will be some people, or at least one person, leaving the staff. I have a feeling that there will be more than one possibly leaving the staff in one form or another. I've heard from pretty good sources, and this is no big secret, I don't believe, that Coach Robinson was considering retiring. He's kind of up there in age, and I think that might come to fruition. So that would open up a spot there if indeed he does follow through on that.
I don't think Will Muschamp's going to be a special teams coach.
No. But I could see him and then you wonder about Lorenzo Ward. How are you going to handle the two? I could see a scenario where he comes in a la Ellis Johnson as an assistant head coach over defense, and then Lorenzo Ward continues to serve as your defensive coordinator.
Or would, if you're South Carolina, because Will Muschamp is going to be sought out by a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Anybody looking for a defensive coordinator is going to want to hire him. Would you want the caveat of him being kind of the heir apparent at South Carolina if and when Steve Spurrier steps down, or did he not do enough at Florida?
Correct.
Win enough games down there because they just never really got any traction. He had a really big year where they went to the Sugar Bowl. Was that the Sugar Bowl they got smoked by Louisville?
Yes.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's been kind of tough sledding for him.
I will say this, a lot of times we don't put the family in this perspective. I'm not so certain that Muschamp's wife would look at him and say, honey, we've been through heck for 4 years here. We got $6 million in the bank. You're going to take a year off and pick what spot you in a year rather than just quickly go back to work.
right, update from Clemson. Good ball game. Winthrop's up 12-11, about 6 minutes in. And Winthrop is being led by Mr. Smith, who has 8 points. That would be Andre Smith with 8 points already. Jerron Blossom game high for Clemson with 4. Back to your calls here in just a moment on Sports Talk. Time for our high school football report tonight, brought to you by South Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. We welcome in the single most knowledgeable high school football expert in the state of South Carolina. That would be David Shelton of the High School Sports Report and the Charleston Post and Courier. And you, having the insight and knowledge that you have, you had to be stunned by some of the results from Friday night.
Yeah, thank you for that fantastic introduction to Checks in the Mail. But yeah, I would say that I was among the stunned. There were a lot of stunned folks with River Bluff's win over Goose Creek. Obviously, that was the biggest shocker of the night. But, you know, undefeated Greer, undefeated Wren, both went down into 3A playoffs. So, yeah, it was kind of one of those nights. And but obviously, the River Bluff win at Goose Creek was the one that rocked the Twitter world, as they say.
Mm-hmm. And Woodruff went down to Newberry.
Yep, that was another one. Yeah, I mean, that one didn't shock me as much. Chesney also lost to Keenan, so that was a 2A. I knew there were some other ones. The Newberry one over Woodruff didn't shock me as much, just because I knew Newberry, if they could have success running the football, they could really limit Woodruff's possessions, and that's exactly what happened. But the other ones, you know, that's why they, you know, I'm writing a column in the Post and Courier for Wednesday. That's why you play the games. You know, seeds are numbers. You know, 16-1, whatever, you still have to play the game, and you don't, you know, the best team doesn't always win. It's the team that plays the best that night, and that's exactly what happened.
Got to give David Bennett and his crowd, his Gators, a lot of credit. Their first playoff game ever, and they, of course, draw the #1 team, the big favorite in 4A Division II. I say big favorite, maybe a favorite in 4A Division II. Going on the road, they fall behind by 3 touchdowns, and they manage to win.
Yeah, and you know, that's just typical David Bennett, the never give up, always fight to the end attitude. You know, he probably had some emotional things to say to his team and kept them in the game. You know, but some of this is on Goose Creek. You know, they had the game well in hand, ready to make it get their 28th point, fumble, come back touchdown, 99 yards. And as Chuck Reedy said after the game, they've been playing with fire all year, and they got burned. And that's exactly what happened. They did this in several games this year. They had to rally to beat Cane Bay in the last minute. They had Somerville 21-0, won 21-14. They had Stratford 21-0, won 21-13. Both those games could have went either way late. So, you know, that's what Chuck said after the game. He's like, hey, they just played better, and they deserve to win. And you know, it's an upset, but it's not that River Bluff didn't deserve to win. They played very well and played very hard.
All right, give me one besides River Bluff, if you want to call them a dark horse. They play York next, and that could be the end of the road for them, but who knows? But in 4A Division I and Division II, coming off of the wins on Friday night, give me a true dark horse in each division.
Well, I honestly think Fort Dorchester, you know, is a dark horse, even though they're a #1 seed. I would say if you wanted to go maybe Hillcrest in Division I, but honestly, I think the state champion is going to come out of that other bracket with Burns, Northwestern, Dorman, and Dutch Fork. One of those teams is going to probably end up winning the state championship. In Division II, I really think it's pretty wide open. I think a Stratford or Spartanburg, who play each other Friday night, maybe Westwood, who's got a great defense, they could end up, you know, being the state champ. But I think Division II, with Goose Creek gone, I think it's wide open. Division I, pretty much you'll be able to figure out after Friday night, you know, one of the two of the favorites. I still like Burns in Division I. I just think they're the most complete team. But, you know, that anything could happen. Again, that's why they play the games. It's going to be fun Friday night, though.
You got that right, and we'll talk to you Friday to preview everything. Thank you, David.
Okay, man. Take care.
David Shelton, best in the business, from the High School Sports Report and the Post and Courier, with his insight for us tonight on high school football from Friday night past. All right, Clemson and Winthrop. It's now a 17-15 Clemson lead, and the freshman Dante Grantham leading Clemson now with 5 points. Good ball game so far at Little John. Back to the phone calls we go.
Horace Grant.
Beg your pardon?
No, looking at Grantham, looks like a young Horace Grant to me.
They love him up there.
Plays.
He has started from the opening tip of preseason practice. He's been one of their 5, and he's going to have a great career at Clemson. All right, back to the phones we go, and we head to Rusty in Great Falls. Rusty, how are you? And welcome into Sports Talk.
Great show, Phil.
Thank you, sir.
I've heard quite a few Clemson fans today whine and complain about, we can't beat South Carolina with Cole Stout. We can't beat South Carolina with Cole Stout. Well, here's my thing. I thought he looked pretty good. He come into the game and he threw 2 touchdown passes. I think one of them on his 3rd pass attempt. So that's pretty good. And another.
How are you able to form words with your tongue so firmly planted inside your cheek?
This guy, he'll be at the ha-ha hole this weekend. Tip your waitresses.
Oh, and I want to tell you something else, too. As long as Dabo is standing on that sideline, I don't care if Stout, Watson, or Joe Montana is the quarterback. I feel confident South Carolina will win.
All right, give me a score then if you're already so confident.
I'm going to say 28-14.
28-14.
You think the Carolina defense will shut down Clemson's offense regardless of who the quarterback is, and the Gamecocks will be able to put 28 points up on that stout Clemson defense?
At least
stout.
At least 28.
Stout, the optimal word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Cole Stout.
All right, thanks for your call. 28-14 is his pick. Here's the way I see the game right now. Right now I'm still favoring Clemson in my head.
Yeah.
Now, at the beginning of the year, I thought to myself, I couldn't pick Clemson until they actually beat South Carolina and turned things back in their favor. I just can't get past how good Clemson's defense is. I mean, they're really good. Here's the thing. South Carolina's offense is really good too. I give them their due. And they're capable.
But they're not really good like Clemson's defense.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Good.
I'm trying to measure the quality of Clemson's defense against the quality of South Carolina's offense. That might be close to a wash. But then when you flip it and you put South Carolina's defense against Clemson's offense, even with Cole Stout, now, notwithstanding their performance this past Saturday because they played better, will they play well against South Alabama and build more confidence? And then will they be able to carry that onto the field at Clemson against a Clemson offense that Cole Stout can, if he's the guy, he is capable of moving them down the field. They have not showed much of a running game consistently. For a couple of weeks they did. Their offensive line is a bit in disarray too.
Well, that's part of it. We all talk about the quarterback, but Clemson's offensive line play has not been really good. They've had a lot of injuries. They haven't been able to get anything going with the running attack. So their offense has been a work in progress.
Who wants it more? Who wants it more?
Well, who's not going to screw
have
up?
A countdown clock?
Well, no.
But then Clemson wants it more.
Yeah, I think Clemson definitely wants it more.
They've been thinking about this for 364
They have been.
And 64
Isn't
days.
this what you said last year?
What's that?
They're coming down here, and this is Dodge's senior year. I mean,
I picked South Carolina to win last year.
I did you? But I heard.
I mean, Clemson's gonna win eventually, and it looks like Cole Stout might not have to play in that game anyway. Now Watson, is he going to be able to? If he does play, at what level is he going to be able to play? It's definitely a lot more shaky. I had no doubt 2 weeks ago. I'm not trying to channel Steve Spurrier, but 2 weeks ago I would have, said Clemson's going to win by double digits.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to be hard for them to win.
I was in Anderson last week at the Touchdown Club, and I said, Clemson's going to roll through the rest of their season, and I'm figuring with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. I said the only way they would lose to South Carolina would be if they just clutched, if they were so tight and wanted it so badly that they played tight and made mistakes. I was presuming that Deshaun Watson wasn't going to get hurt again. But, folks, you're a Clemson fan. Think about this. Deshaun Watson has had a broken collarbone, a broken finger, and a broken knee in less than one full football season.
Injury prone.
Well, is he injury prone or just unlucky? All right, Clemson leading Winthrop, 10:50 to play in the half, 18-17 up at Littlejohn. Couple of other important notes for you. Furman is also going to the NCAA soccer tournament, and Furman will travel to UAB in the opening round on Thursday. All right. And let's see. FCS ranking this week, the official one, Coastal Carolina's number 2, trailing New Hampshire once again. North Dakota State is 3, Jacksonville State is 4, and Eastern Washington is 5. They are, once again, the shots are number 1 by the coaches. Furman freshman quarterback P.J. Blazejowski is the National Co-Freshman of the Week, or that should be Co-National Freshman of the Week, for his performance in the win over Wofford, 15 of 15, 305 yards, and 2 touchdowns in that win. Arkansas was fined $25,000 by the SEC, second offense, allowing fans to storm the field after they beat LSU the other day.
Chest to go to Fayetteville.
All right, back to the phones we go, and it is going to be Billy in Florence. Hi, Billy. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Hey, guys. I hope you're doing well. I thought the mighty SEC stormed the field, but okay. But Arkansas, I think, had lost 17 in a row. If I'm not exactly sure the losing streak, but I just didn't think
right
the SEC in a whole. Okay. Phil, one thing is, first of all, the previous caller that predicted 28-14. I don't know who, as far as him personal, but he needs to quit smoking that stuff that early, and it is illegal here in South Carolina. I'm going to tell you right now, Phil, and you know this, and I agree 110% with what you're saying, Phil. That defense, and I'll make this prediction, there will be more defensive players. Florida has got a big-time defense. I like them. Vernon Hargraves, is it Elam? You got DJ Humphreys on the other side. You got big-time interior linemen. That's what I'm trying to say. But if you tell me, or I'll tell you right now, the Tigers will have more defensive players drafted in the NFL than Florida. What I'm trying to get at is the Tigers have one of the most probably the best defensive line in college football. And I know Alabama's out there, but I'm telling you, the best defensive line in college football. And if you don't think Stephon Anthony, Tony Stewart, Ben Boulware, B.J. Goodson, and by the way, we had Dorian O'Daniel to get 9 tackles and record it was a redshirt freshman. Don't kid yourself. Mackenzie Alexander actually got thrown on a little bit off his back foot. Mm-hmm. He has been a lockdown corner, and Phil, and the reason I like to call you, because you're very knowledgeable with the talent that's on that defense, and I'm agreeing with you. I think Watson will play, but even if Cole plays, I think with the countdown clock and as focused as the Tigers are going to be, I just don't see it, guys. I just don't see it.
Got a score for me real quick?
I actually say 31-14 Tigers.
Clemson fans are confident. They don't even see a close game so far, guys. It's the countdown clock. They want it more.
That's why they giving fuel to the other side. Don't you think South Carolina's players here, we don't have a chance?
Tigers want it more. All right, it is Sports Talk. Inside of 2 weeks from the big game, and we're already talking about it. We can't wait any longer. We don't want to talk about South Alabama Jaguars. We don't want to talk about Georgia State Panthers. It's all about the Gamecocks and the Tigers for the next 2 weeks.
Well, I tell you what, the interesting thing is we're talking about Deshaun Watson, but let's face it, Cole Stout or Deshaun Watson, who probably won't have the mobility that he usually has because that knee probably will still be sore. I think equally as important is the health of David Beasley, because you've had problems on the offensive line, and I'm not so certain he's not been the most consistent offensive lineman for Clemson this year. The key thing is Clemson can't turn the football over. If you at Georgia Tech the other day, Clemson would have had to pitch a shutout, but still they would have been in the game. You erase those 2 pick sixes.
But you can't do that.
But you can't do that, I know. And then you could tell when the defense was on the field a long time. I don't care if you have 11 All-Americans on the field, they get gashed when they get tired because they're on the field too much. And
Georgia Tech had the ball for 35 minutes. And keep in mind, they had the ball for 35 minutes, and they had 2 defensive scores, which eliminated 2 possessions for them. So when they had the ball, they kept it for a long time. All right. By the way, you got to keep an eye out for Tennessee next year in the SEC East. That was a pretty strong message they sent, how they hammered Kentucky. I'm telling you, Josh Dobbs is going to be the man. They're a young team, got a lot of talent. They're going to be tough next year.
You ever noticed how Kentucky's football team started to flounder as soon as the basketball got tipped up? Kind
of like Duke.
Yeah.
Basketball season's underway. Football team loses to Virginia Tech.
Unbelievable.
All right, back to the phone calls we go. And it is BB BB. Yeah, in Saluda. Bulldog Bert. How are you, Bulldog Bert?
Got a little Bulldog Bert trivia for you.
Okay.
What coach said, it's a very disappointed locker room. I'm disappointed in the turnovers in particular.
What coach said, it's a disappointed locker room. I'm disappointed in the turnovers in particular.
Every
Steve
coach
Spurrier,
has lost
Dabo
and had a
Swinney.
lot of turnovers in the history of football.
Dabo Swinney said after their star quarterback, Taj Boyd, threw 2 interceptions, losing to Georgia Tech 31-17 in 2011. And it's been over a decade since they won anywhere on the road with Georgia Tech.
Yeah, they haven't beaten Georgia Tech since 2003 in Atlanta.
Atlanta's house is a house of horrors for Clemson. Outside of the Chick-fil-A Bowl in the Dome, they go into Grant Field or Bobby Dodd Stadium, whatever you want to call it. It's been a house of horrors.
And of course, this year they didn't go to Georgia and win. Period. And the Yellow Jackets aren't going to win at Georgia either.
I don't know. Now, come on, that's a tough offense to start. Their quarterback is pretty tough. You're down a great running back. I know Nick Chubb's in there, and he looks great to me too. I mean, I don't think you miss much between those two.
He is pretty. You'd rather have now. Look,
you'd rather have Gurley.
You saw
too,
Gurley on that first kickoff.
I don't care if he stepped out of bounds. I would have given him the touchdown.
Well, they call the hold. Did they call a hold or they say
no? They
stepped
out of bounds.
Oh, but yeah, and we were talking about it before the show. I think because of the injury, the NCAA should give him the $3,000 back for the autographs.
Say thank you.
That's the good news. At least now he can go out and sign autographs and get an agent.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if he's made his decision to go on.
Well, I mean, come on. Yeah, he's not coming back.
But I tell you what, that
I want to come back and further risk injury.
Yeah, well,
another.
He might be thinking. I understand what you're saying, but he might be thinking his draft status is going to plunge because of this.
I mean, his draft status might go down.
All right, State man, tell me, soothsayer, knower of everything.
Well,
what's he going to be picked?
He's not going to improve his status by coming. Everybody knows what kind of player he is, and it wasn't like a catastrophic knee injury. It was an ACL, your typical ACL in 2014. That's not that big of a deal. He can't come back and improve himself. Everybody's seen what he can do. Yeah. So yes, he's going to the NFL.
Also, I understand he placed a call to Columbia or placed a call to San Francisco and asked, "Can I speak to Marcus for a minute and ask him about coming back?"
Yeah, well, Marcus had to come back.
Yeah, right,
he didn't have any choice, and the same with. And that's the problem with freaks like Lattimore and Gurley and Deshaun Watson. I mean, these guys that are probably good enough now
Who's
to
a
come
better
out.
running back, Melvin Gordon or Todd Gurley?
Well, I mean, I like Todd Gurley. I mean, I'm a big Todd Gurley is
Melvin Gordon
is
has
great.
2 healthy knees.
Now, I have watched him for now.
I'm not making light. Quit laughing back there. I am not
you and
making.
Steve Spurrier write jokes together.
Well, I
Boom,
will say
boom.
this: Wisconsin is the latter-day Nebraska, meaning that any running back you put behind that horse line runs for yards. Look at them; they own all the records. What most yards
South
in the
Carolina
season,
stopped him last year.
most touchdowns in the
Stuffed
season,
him, as I recall.
and that's because they got a working margin of lead. See, when you get a lead on them, they
had
have
a guy
to throw the
named
football.
Clowney and a guy named Quarles, and
Well,
a couple
they
of
also
other
had
guys.
a guy named Bobo that stopped him in Columbia this year too, for whatever reason.
No, we're talking about Wisconsin in the bowl game
Mhm.
last year. Back to the phones we go. And thank you, BB. Always good hearing from you. Let's go to Hank in Columbia, listening to us on the point. Well, he was until the top of the air, but we're glad that he's with us regardless. Hello, Hank. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Phil, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it, Phil.
Which part?
Yes, I understand what you're saying about Clemson's defense,
Right.
but I think Carolina's offense is good enough that they're gonna score points. This thing of Clemson playing Wake Forest and holding field goals, Carolina's going to score points, and then I think that's going to be. Then the issue is going to be along that Clemson offensive line. This reminds me of about, I guess, the first or the second victory where that Clemson offensive line, I don't care, if it's Watson or Stout. If Watson comes back, one of the things that I questioned on Saturday was he comfortable trying to throw the ball down the field, which is why they were running him so much.
Mm-hmm.
So Clemson's defense is a good defense. But along that defensive line, they're not gigantically stronger than Florida and talented as some of the lines that we played. I think Carolina will score. You have to wonder. I can't remember when did Clemson score their last offensive touchdown.
Wake Forest.
Yeah. They've only they had a run there of only 3 offensive touchdowns over about a 2 or 3 game period.
It was on that jet sweep against I call it a jet sweep. It actually goes as a pass
right
to Artavis Scott that put him up in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
I will say this though, Clemson's defense can send a message early because K-Mac, you were there at the Swamp, and you could tell that after they hit Dylan Thompson a few times, ghosts were running around. I mean, Dylan was back there all alone, and he was moving like somebody was rushing him because they'd already sent the message that we're going to hit you. So, a defensive line don't have to hit the quarterback, but a few times early, and then suddenly those ghosts start to chase the quarterback. Dylan was high with his passes.
And the snaps were off. I mean, that's an issue for South Carolina. The snapping was disruptive. It was probably as disruptive as a Florida defensive line on a handful of plays.
All right, quickly, one more call before we get to Mick Mixon to join us here in a moment. Ronnie in North Augusta, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, Phil, maybe I don't remember correctly, but didn't Georgia, Florida State, Boston College, I think they even moved it enough on Clemson's defense that they don't drop a pass down there in the goal line, they win. Seems like Louisville moved it around pretty good on them, and
those were all low scoring.
You don't see anything but the bad that Carolina's done this year, and that's not usually like you. Let's at least be fair. I mean, tell me anybody that Clemson's beat that's better than Georgia, East Carolina, or Florida. I want you to tell me one victory they've got that's better, but the team they beat was better than any one of those 3 teams this year.
I take Louisville over.
Louisville's got a good football team.
I think Louisville,
they almost lost that one. I mean, their defense is good, but they're not just locked down, shut down, but nobody can score on them. They're not like people are trying to build them up to be. I mean, if they were, Georgia and Florida State with a second-team quarterback wouldn't have moved the ball up and down the field on them. Georgia Tech didn't light it up, but they rushed for 250 and threw for over 100 on them.
Well, Florida State, I know they had the backup quarterback, but they only scored 23 points on them. We'll be right back.
high drama Bank of America Stadium. Matt Bryant's missed only 2 this year. Right-footed kicker measuring his steps. This from 44 yards. Good snap. Bosher puts it down. The kick is on the way. And the field goal is good. Atlanta has the lead 19-17, a 2-point game. So a Panther field goal could break Atlanta's hearts. It will be a 46-yard field goal for Graham Gano. Takes a deep breath. He's ready. Good snap. Good spot. Gano's kick is up. The crowd will tell you.
Oh,
no
man.
good.
No. The crowd's not going to tell us. Eugene is going to tell us if it was good or not, Mick. I mean, I always listen to Eugene to find out exactly what happens at the end of a play.
Yeah, I got shirts at home with the buttons pulled off of them and tears in the fabric and all from him grabbing me during big moments of the game. He gets a little bit excitable.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Well, that was a tough one. That was a tough one. And I'm not going to throw the moral victory thing out there in terms of still being alive in the division. It's ugly right now. It's very ugly. And you got a couple of weeks to stew on this thing.
Oh, yeah, it was, no points in the third quarter. Only had 3-point time. The Panthers finally woke up, Corn and passes, but it was it looked like there for a while. It looked like that we were had never practiced on offense. I mean, it was the guys were trying hard, but the Panthers had a heck of a time converting 3rd and 4, 3rd and 2. And then, I really thought Gano was going to make it from 63. I just had this weird notion that he was going to bang it through. It's what kickers dream about. He could have atoned for an earlier indiscretion. I just had a variety of scenarios bouncing through my mind. Wouldn't this be unbelievable? But we'll never know because it got smothered.
We know that Cam has been off and on, little nicks and other injuries, Mick, but the Tyson Jackson hit early. It looked ugly when you saw it on the replay on TV. What was his bell rung harder than we thought it was? Did it take him a while to shake off the cobwebs?
Well, he certainly looked like it, but he says no. They came over and checked him for a concussion, any type of head trauma, and I think it's just jaw was sore. I mean, that hit could have been sponsored by the American Dental Association. There's some sponsorship opportunities, by the way, here in all the Panthers' troubles protecting Cam Newton. But he got hit very hard, a helmet right underneath his face mask, but he seemed okay during and after the game as far as his cognition was concerned.
Yeah, I was listening to you. That was early in the game, and you cited some sort of syndrome that might have resulted from that hit. What was that?
Temporomandibular joint syndrome, TMJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you spell it? You can say it, but can you spell it?
I could probably come close, but I don't know, man. It's weird, Corn. I mean, as odd as, and you mentioned it in your remarks, that it sounds so counterintuitive to say, but the Panthers are still in it. I mean, any other division, we'd be looking at the draft and what band are we going to get to play in the draft party and where are we going to hold it and where will the pick be. But with 5 games remaining, it's still doable.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't give up on this season. I don't know, maybe your fans have for the most part, but the team can't give up on this season. You can still make something out of it.
You can, I know, and those were 2 not very good football teams playing yesterday. But Atlanta's 3-6 felt a lot different than the Carolina Panthers 3-6-1. They were just coming off a win over Tampa Bay. And how about this, Corn? And fellas, Atlanta is 4-0 in the division, but they're 0-6 out of the division.
What does that say about the division?
It's not too good.
All right, so what does Ron Rivera and the staff with this bye week, what do they do? You've got the Vikings. You got the Vikings on the road. That's a winnable game, though they might be playing a little bit better now that their quarterback situation sort of settled down a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, you got the Saints, the Buccaneers, the Browns, the Falcons. I mean, you got to play in New Orleans. That might be tough. There's probably, of your last 5 games, you could probably win 4 of those.
Oh, true that. I know. The temperature in Minneapolis, the low tonight's -2. The high today was 18 degrees. So hopefully this bye week will give the temperature a chance to rise and the Panthers a chance to get a little healthier.
Yeah. So what does Ron Rivera say to the guys here during this off week?
Oh, he dog cussed them this morning. I mean, he was not happy with the club, and And then it I think got calmed down a little bit. Coach Rivera just told them that it's still there. We're this close to being a decent football team. Everybody just needs to win their individual assignments and do that on a little bit more of a consistent basis. And I think it starts with the offense. The defense played well yesterday, so right now it's on Cam Newton and company to score some more points.
All right, you got Joe Webb coming up on Panther Talk.
That we do, yeah. Tremendous, gifted athlete, very springy. He dunked a basketball about the same time you did, Corn, when he was 14 years old at 5'10" tall, 42-inch vertical leap. So I'm sorry you're not here to swap stories with him.
Yeah, I actually did it on my bar mitzvah night. I was 13 when I first dunked. Okay, thank you so much, Mick. Good luck with the show. Panther Talk coming up with Mick Mixon and the Panthers on our affiliates here in South Carolina and across North Carolina. Thank you, Mick. Back in a moment. Okay, Mac, I will give you $1 right now. $1 right now. I'll reach in my pocket. Hang on, folks watching.
This is a little.
See right here. I'm pulling out $1, ladies and gentlemen. Pulling out $1. Putting it right here. That's yours. I'll give you 5 seconds.
5 seconds. I don't like where this is going.
To give me the name of the Georgia State head coach. 4, 3.
Yeah, you could give me
2.
a month.
You don't know the name
give me
of
a
the
month.
pro?
Bill Curry used to be there.
He used to be, yeah.
Didn't Terry Bowden used to be there?
Some guy named Fowler? No.
Bill Curry Jr.
No. You're thinking of Bobby Lamb, and he's at Mercer State, man. His name is Trent Miles. Sorry, Kim.
Oh, wow. Man, I was just about to hit easy street.
His record at the school is 1-21. And, Georgia State has 32,000 students.
Yeah, I did know that.
Jiminy
It's
Christmas.
a big commuter school right in downtown Atlanta, right under the Capitol Golden Dome.
Yeah, there's a MARTA stop right there. 36-34 at the half. Clemson is leading Winthrop. Landry Noko high for the Tigers with 9. He also has a couple of rebounds. And leading the way for Winthrop is Andre Smith. Fine guard. He has 12 points on 4 of 9 shooting, including a couple of threes. Tigers shooting 52% to Winthrop's 35%. And free throws, Tigers are 9 of 15, Winthrop 9 of 13. Clemson is winning the boards 24-14. And in the paint, they are dominating 20-10. So Clemson out. But it's a tight one, 36-34. Clemson on top of Winthrop.
That's why
on ESPN.
That's
Winthrop,
why you're if you're
the
Brad,
worldwide leader of sports.
Yeah, that's why if you Brad Brunell,
That's
you
why they
worry
call them
about this game.
Clemson and Winthrop. I'm sorry.
No,
Go
I'm
ahead.
saying that's why you worry about a game like this. You're shooting 52% and you're out rebounding a team by 10, and you look up and you're only 2 points ahead, and they're shooting only 35%. So they're getting that sounds to me like they're either hitting threes, they're getting hustle plays, or they're not missing. So Clemson has to turn up the defensive screws, I think, in the second half, and I think they can take it home after that.
All right, going to be a busy Talking Tuesday here on Sports Talk. K-Mac making the ride up the hill tomorrow to visit with the Tigers and have a sit-down with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, we'll go through the rehab with him.
You want to go through
how many questions will Dabo have to answer about Deshaun Watson tomorrow?
They want to call him out, give him their own personal stabilization tests on the knee.
And I'll be over at USC for Steve Spurrier, and then I'll make my way over to the arena for USC and Baylor. Looking forward to some basketball this week. USC Baylor, and then USC heading down to Charleston for the Charleston Classic. Be there for that as well. So we got a lot of basketball coming our way on this sort of light football week in terms of the competition till we turn the corner towards the big game. But we've already turned that corner. That's all we're talking about. So have a great night. Thank you, Steakman, K-Mac, and Pro. We'll see you all tomorrow night here on Sports Talk.